Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has announced that he has chosen young, wealthy technology businesswoman Nicole Shanahan as her deputy to run for the White House. The character chosen by Mr. Kennedy, 70 years old, an environmental lawyer and anti-vaccine activist, is Ms. Nicole Shanahan, 38 years old, a wealthy female lawyer and technology entrepreneur in the U.S. Mr. Kennedy is the grandson of the late U.S. President John F. Kennedy. Mr. Kennedy announced his choice at a campaign event on March 26 in Oakland, California, Ms. Shanahan's birthplace. In a speech lasting nearly an hour, Mr. Kennedy evaluated Ms. Shanahan's famous career as a great asset to the election campaign. The candidate said the prominent technologist has deep knowledge of how major technology companies use artificial intelligence, AI, to attract voters. Mr. Kennedy also emphasized that he chose Ms. Shanahan because he wanted a deputy general who is strong, has been trained through battles, is skeptical about the areas being managed, and has sympathy for plight of ordinary Americans. I have found a deputy who shares and understands my outrage about the role of big tech as partners in government censorship, surveillance, and information warfare. Government is now working against the American people, candidate Kennedy added. Because according to him, more and more Americans of Generation Y and Generation Z have lost faith in the future and lost pride in our country. According to experts, Mr. Kennedy's choice of Ms. Shanahan to run with him in the presidential race next November is to exploit the prospect of strengthening his financial potential and sought-after relationships in the technology industry. This famous and wealthy female lawyer. And this move could have a strong impact on this year's race, which is focusing on the final rematch between candidates Joe Biden and Donald Trump. According to a recent Reuters Ipsos poll, Mr. Kennedy is receiving the support of 15% of registered voters, compared to this ratio of current President Biden and his predecessor Trump respectively, are 39% and 38%. Who is Ms. Nicole Shanahan? Outside of the tech world in Silicon Valley in Northern California, this 38-year-old deputy general candidate is largely unknown to the public. But from the beginning, Ms. Shanahan supported candidate Kennedy's presidential bid when he was running in the Democratic primary election. In her speech on March 26, she said she initially did not think much of Mr. Kennedy but was drawn to the candidate's campaign after listening to his interviews, which she said impressed her. Give yourself hope for our democracy. According to People magazine, Ms. Shanahan is a native of Oakland, grew up in poverty, and had a mother who immigrated from China. Her family grew up relying on welfare and struggled to make ends meet. She also has a young child with autism. She graduated with degrees in Asian Studies, Economics, and Chinese from the University of Puget Sound in Washington State before earning a law degree from Santa Clara University in the Bay Area. I had a difficult childhood with a lot of sadness, fear, and instability. Sometimes there was violent behavior, Ms. Shanahan told People. Speaking to supporters in Oakland, she only briefly mentioned her wealth and focused more on raising her children. As you may know, I later became rich, but my hometown in Oakland taught me many things that I will never forget. The purpose of wealth is to help those in need, she emphasized. Ms. Shanahan is the ex-wife of Mr. Sergey Brin, co-founder of Google Technology Corporation. They married in 2018 and divorced in 2023. She was also the founder and CEO of Palo Alto legal technology company Clear Access IP before selling the company in 2020. She is also a member at the prestigious Stanford University Legal Informatics Center. Ms. Shanahan owns assets worth about $70 million. Before collaborating with candidate Kennedy, Ms. Shanahan contributed to Democratic Party campaigns. According to federal campaign finance records, she gave $25,000 to President Joe Biden's joint fundraising committee in 2020 and called herself a lifelong Democrat in an interview with Newsweek earlier this year. But in a statement on March 26, she officially renounced all links with the Democratic Party, saying that the party had lost its way. Ms. Shanahan also said that she is not anti-vaccine, but sympathizes with Kennedy's statements about the safety of vaccination. Shanahan also said he agreed to run as a running mate with Mr. Kennedy, partly because they both have the same health goals. No presidential candidate takes chronic disease as seriously as Mr. Kennedy, and I will be his ally in bringing our country back to health, Ms. Shanahan emphasized.